Hey fellas, Meat Trapper here. I'm getting ready to do some catfishing, so I thought I'd talk about fishing with nets for a little bit. The last video I did was concerned with wooden slat traps, and so let's talk about nets today. Whether you're fishing with hook nets or with a net trap like this, the principles are basically the same. There are two ways you can fish your nets. One is horizontally and the other is vertically. Now horizontally seems to be the most common method and the most accepted method. Just seems to be the way it's always been done. I guess the idea is the fish it's easier for the fish to swim into a horizontally set net. But I'm not sure that's the case. Now I don't like to fish horizontally, and let me tell you why. First thing that you'll notice is you have to have some way to keep your net open. In this case I've got a PVC pipe. Some people will use a piece of wood to keep a net open. Some people will tie tails to the back and to the front of the net, and they'll stake it down or weight it down and then stretch the net out and drop the other one. But the bottom line is you've got to have some way to keep that net open when you're going to fish it horizontally. The next issue is, like I mentioned in my catfish slat trap video, you want your bait, and I like to use catfish cheese, so you want your bait packed around the throat of the trap, not in the rear of the trap. You want to attract the fish to the front of the trap, to the throat, where they can get caught. Now, if I'm going to do that, if I'm going to put catfish cheese and have it, the trap horizontal, I'm going to use a bait bag, and I'm going to have to clip it to one of the hoops or some of the netting. I'm going to have to do some work to keep it up here near the mouth of the trap. The third consideration is if you're in an area with a soft bottom and there's a lot of current, you can come back and have your trap silted into the bottom. This is especially true with slat traps because they're so heavy, but you can also have your nets get buried in the silt. And so if you've got a 24-inch net and it's 3 inches into the mud, you now have a 21-inch trap, not a 24. And also it makes it hard to pull it out of the mud. If something gets stuck in the mud, it's going to be harder to pull it out. So that's one of the reasons that I've stopped fishing horizontally and I've gone to a vertical emplacement. So let me show you how I do a vertical fish trap, and I do this whether it's a slat trap or a net or what have you. And let me explain to you why I think it's a little easier and a little more effective. Okay, now this is how I would fish a net vertically. First thing you'll notice is that I don't need anything to hold the net open. I don't need any pieces of wood. I don't need anything stretched out. Gravity is going to hold this net open for me. Now, what I usually will do is I'll usually attach a rope to both sides of the throat and attach it to a weight. That way I don't have to worry about the net swaying back and forth in the current. I've got basically I can use a brick or anything that's handy to weight it down. It doesn't take much, just a pound or two of weight to hold this thing steady. The next thing you'll notice is that since we're fishing vertically, if I put a bait bag in here, if I take some catfish cheese or what have you, and I drop it down around the throat, down here, I don't have to attach it. Gravity is going to keep my bait right around the mouth of this throat, all the way around. So I don't have to worry about clipping it into the net, clipping it in here. I don't have to worry about it settling. It's always going to be right here. And the reason you want your bait at the bottom instead of up at the top is, remember, this is net. If I had the bait up here, the fish are going to come and hit it from this side. That's not going to do me any good. They can't get caught back here. But if I have the bait down here, the fish are going to be concentrated around the mouth of the trap, and that's where they're going to get caught. As soon as they get in here and they start hitting it, up they go and they're caught. So this has a couple of advantages. I don't need anything to hold the net open. I don't have to worry about clipping a bait bag in. It's really simple. The other thing, the last thing, is I can vary the height that I want to fish at. When I'm fishing horizontally, I'm always going to be on the bottom. That's it. And you can see by how far up I suspend this from a pier or a branch from a tree or what have you, or even from a float. You can tie it off to a float and hang it. I can vary this where I can fish it as close to the bottom or as high off the bottom as I want. I can have the mouth 10 feet off the bottom or 2 feet off the bottom. And about 2 feet is where I like it. This way I don't have to worry about the trap getting buried in silt. The bottom fish are going to come along, they smell the bait, they start hitting it, and up into the trap they go. So the next time you're fishing with catfish traps, whether it's a net trap, whether it's a slat trap, or what have you, remember, you don't have to fish it horizontally. You can fish it vertically. It can be a little bit easier on you, and I think just as effective, if not more effective. I hope this has been of value. Well, let's go set some traps. Stay tuned.